We are being joined by Theo and Feven. So Theo, as I mentioned before, is Natasha's brother, and he helped her create Banya from the very beginning. So Theo, are you here? Are you muted?
Yes, I am here.
Hello, Theo. Okay, excellent. We're just missing your video, but we can hear you.
Yeah.
And we are also joined by Feven, and I think we're supposed to also be joined by Natasha, but I don't find Natasha in the participants.
He's there.
Does
He's
anyone
there.
know what Natasha's name is
It's
inside?
the one that says Blake's.
Gloria Blake.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Found her. Welcome, Theo, Feven, and Natasha. It's lovely to have you here. So in this session, we're going to hear all about how to become a foster carer, and you will hear about how Feven and Natasha became foster carers themselves. Now, there is a Q&A session, a Q&A part to this session. So if you would like to ask your questions here, please feel free. They can be about how to become a carer in general or about Feven's and Natasha's experience becoming a foster carer. And if you feel that your question is very personal and you don't want to ask it here publicly in front of everyone, but you would like to ask it privately, then you can send us a private message on our social media. You can also send us an email at joinus@banya.co.uk, or you can give us a call. The number is 0800 989 0135, and you will get personalized help from someone who is there to answer all of your questions and help you get started once you are ready. So for now, we have Theo, Feven, and Natasha, who are going to be talking about their experience and explaining how you can become a foster carer. Please send us your messages and your questions in the chat, or if you're watching us live on Facebook, we're also looking at the comments to answer your questions. So thank you guys and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Mapa. And thank you for everybody who's listening in. Obviously, this topic is about how somebody can become a foster carer. So I've got two lovely ladies with me. So I think it's best if they first introduce themselves. If you could just introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been a foster carer.
Who first?
Okay, Natasha, if you introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Natasha. I've been on the Facebook Live before, so you might know me, I'm not sure. Really nice to meet you all. I am a foster carer and I work alongside my mother, who is, you may have heard the name earlier, Gloria. Yeah, we together. I mean, she was a carer before myself first. I was supporting her and decided to also be a fully myself. So yeah, that's me. Reverend?
My name is Feven. Thank you very much for having me, Theo. And I've been fostering for 11 years now, and it's my second time on Facebook, and I'm sure this is my second time back. I have 4 children, 2 of mine, 2 foster children, and I've been fostering 11 years, and that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Yes. So as you can see, both these ladies have been foster carers for a while now, and I think what we want to do now is sort of take you back. On the day you decided, right? Today, I would like to. I'm thinking of fostering. Could you tell us, what you went through, and the process, how you felt about the process at the time?
Yeah.
So I'll start with Feven.
Sure. When I first started thinking to become a foster carer, first I was very nervous, and I picked up the phone. I said, "Do I want to do this?" And I said, "Yes, I wanted to do it because I wanted to do it for a long time." And I was surrounded with different carers, member, family, and friend, and I wasn't sure that confident for me to go ahead and be assessed. But one day, I remember I dropped my children, and then I said to myself, this is what I want to do. In my own time, with my own children and working from home. I think this is perfect for me. And then I decided to call. And I remember this lovely woman, she picked up the phone and said to me, oh yeah, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I just want to get your detail. And then I was so nervous. Oh, she's going to get back to me. Then she called me and say, we're just calling to come and visit you. And I was so nervous and I didn't know what to expect. When I opened the door, she was so calm and relaxed. She made me relax. Then I said to myself, this is easy. I want more. And then when she came to me and said, this is what we need to do, and been training, you're going to go for 3 days training, and then you'll be supported by a member of the team from Banya. Here we go today. First, I was so nervous to go to panel. And am I going to be okay? Am I going to have confidence? And I didn't have that confidence to say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll be fine. And the lovely social worker came to assess me. She gave me more confident and confident when I went to the panel. If it's like, I just went to the normal panel, it wasn't that scary. And they make me so comfortable here today that I'm a work experience carer, and I love my job and I won't change it for anything. So there's so many children that they need a good home and safe home, and I wish I have more room to foster more children. At the moment I've got 2 and I love what I'm doing, but the first time I must say I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect. When I went to the panel, I was embarrassed. Oh, am I going to do it? Am I going to talk the right question? Am I going to answer the right question? But even the panel, remember the panel was so relaxed and they make me more comfortable to answer more questions. And I was approved and I didn't wait for long. Then I have 2 children in placement, which is, I love doing what I'm doing at the moment. I'll leave that to Natasha to continue. But yeah.
Okay, thank you, Feven. That sounded similar to mine, actually. My story might sound similar to yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it'll be a little bit different is when we first started the process, I did it supporting my mum. So I'd gone through the process with her. So I already knew what to expect when it was my time. So I will talk about how it was with my mum. We'd approached Banya beforehand. So we were already known to them. But at the time, it wasn't, they felt we weren't ready to foster. So we agreed with that. And they approached us again a few years after. We were invited to come to a coffee morning, which was very good. We got to meet other people who also wanted to foster, which was, again, very good as well. And there was lots of good conversation happening and some really real stories about fostering and stuff. And we both went, we both attended, and I remember that evening saying, you know what, Mum, we can do this, let's go for this, and we decided to do that. Anyway, we contacted back Banya and said to them that, you know, we'd like to go through the process. We were put in touch with a social worker, and she was amazing as well. She was wonderful. We were able to speak to her our truth, you know, be as open as possible and as comfortable as possible. She was very warm and caring and made us understand the process. So we didn't, I guess even though we may have had fears about, oh gosh, are we going to get through it? You know, actually, she made us feel comfortable throughout the whole time. So that was lovely, very supportive. We also went to, well, we did skills to foster. So that was the 3 training days that we'd done, where we'd learned lots of stuff and everything. And then we'd prepare a panel. I do remember just before we went to panel, we did meet another foster carer, and we knew carers as well, but we met somebody who gave us their experience of what panel was like. And that helped me a lot. It helped my mum massively as well, because it is very kind of, you know, daunting to be in a room of people, you know, lots of people who are judging your life. Can you look after children? You know, yeah, and you know you can, you know, because you just want to give them love and a home. And that's all you really want to do. But these people are the people. Are you able to do that? And we haven't turned back since, basically, you know. when I had to do it, obviously I'd been practicing supporting my mum for a good 6 years. So I knew, you know, exactly what it was I was doing. You know, I knew how to present myself at panel and everything. So it was lovely. So yeah, Feven's right. You're supported throughout the whole kind of process. You're not just left to deal with it by yourself. You can call the social worker whenever you need to. If you've got any questions to ask, if you want to speak to experienced carers that have gone through it, they're also available. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. As you can see, with both Natasha and Feven, there's a lot of things that were very common in there. Things like being nervous. I mean, so for those people who are listening in, you know, being nervous is part and parcel of of becoming a foster carer. You see, because because it's a natural thing, you know, being nervous. But obviously, what overrides all the nerves is the fact that you are aware that, you know, you're more than capable of doing this, and if you've got the love, the time for children, you've got enough, you know, enough qualities for somebody for you to become a foster carer. And obviously, you do need to have the space, you know, a spare room for that. So, in terms of the panel, in terms of the support you were getting from Banya, did you feel, Natasha, for example, did you feel you got adequate support? Did you feel, was there any time you felt that, oh, maybe this wasn't for you, or you felt that Banya wasn't quite giving you enough support?
No, I felt really well supported. As I said, I could call the social worker whenever I needed to at the time. And she was on hand, on deck, to provide me with the supportive words I guess I would need, and answer any questions that we had. And obviously meeting the other foster carers is awesome, because that's where you also get to speak to someone who's gone through exactly what you're going through. And it was nice because it was carers, it was new carers, you know, and then it was experienced carers as well that we could speak to. So it was a whole array of carers, you know, across the board. And I believe that was really, really helpful.
Okay. For you, Feven, was it sort of similar situation for you?
It's similar. I would say, like I'll repeat myself again. You know, when your first time, you don't know what to expect, but the team member, the team were so supportive, and they're always there for you, 24 hours support, that makes you more comfortable. And anytime you call, it's the same what Natasha said, and they're always there for you, regardless, 24 hours, that's why you feel more privileged that somebody's there. You don't have to worry too much with that, you know, about myself. No, you're not by yourself. There's a team that they're working 24 hours with you, next to you. Which is
absolutely. And I mean, this is really for the benefit of those who are watching, and who might be sort of asking themselves, can I do this? Should I do this? You know, reassurance we can definitely give you is that you will get adequate support, so that if you've got particular questions that you have, you know, the chances are we'll be able to answer them, because there's very little that you're going to go through which we as Banyas not experience. So we somehow already know most of the answers the questions you're going to ask, you think. So then, whilst all this is happening, you know, the applicants, the carers are applying applying to become foster carers. We as Banya, our role is just to ensure that we're doing things according to the regulations that are given, you know. So for example, you know, things like the normal things like the checks. We do the checks. And when I say the checks, I'm talking about things like your police check. We're talking about the local authority check. And we're talking about the medical check. You know, are you medically fit to foster? You know, if it's a DBS, we're talking about whether you've got any sort of criminal record that can hinder your application. Because remember, you're going to be looking after someone else's child. So we do need to have some surety that, you know, we're placing this child somewhere that's going to be safe, you think. And again, that whole process is something which we explained at the beginning, and hopefully, by the time the assessment finishes, you realize why it was necessary to do that. You see. For me, that is the role for Banya, and of course, being able to do things within a given time frame. You see, that's the other aspect of becoming a foster carer. Yeah. Um, for 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 you, Feven, obviously, tell us a bit more about the actual assessment. Because I know there are many people will be asking the question, what is involved in the actual assessment? So could you tell us from your point of view?
Sure. When the social worker came and she said to me, "Oh, it's going to take roughly the assessment between 6-7 months." When she explained to me when she came for visit, and everything, the question, once you have everything gathering together, it's easier. So you don't have to see the social worker to come and visit you more often. Once you have, it's very easy, your address, your detail, your where school that you went. It's just basic, because some people, they make it, it's, I don't know what to give it to you. I don't know what information they want, but it's very easy. At the time I said, oh, 6 months, what she's going to ask me, what does she need from me? But once the information, she make it clear, and then it's so easy. It's very, very easy. All you need to do is just following the information what you've been given, which is, like I said, what school you went, your doctor, your health, like you Theo said, health assessment, or your address that you were living, and the school that you went. It's very, very easy and very forward, and you can do it as soon as once you provide all the information. It was very easy, very easy.
Yeah, um, obviously it had to be a bit intrusive. Did you find that they asked sort of more intrusive questions because of the fact that we need to know more about you, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, because before you go to panel, the panel have to read information about you. They don't know you. So who's Feven? Where is Feven come from? Obviously, I wasn't born here, so I have to come, okay, my name is Feven, I come from Eritrea. Or you detail what you've been studying. You don't have to be have qualification to do fostering, but just basic, who's Feven? To find out who you are, just to pass it to panel, who's behind you, who wants to look after somebody's child, because you have to take responsibility for you, the authority, to trust you. You have to give the right information to see who you are.
Yeah. Okay. And then for you, Natasha, maybe I could ask you the same question. How did you find the assessment process?
I actually found it to be a journey, to be honest with you. It makes you reflect on life, because there's only certain things in life that make you reflect. But doing this assessment, Form F, it's definitely a journey of your life. It's like a life book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to be as real as possible. And that's why I said I was really happy that I was able to have that open kind of relationship with the social worker, because I'm expressing me in its rawest format, and because I need to, because everybody needs to know what I stand for and reasons for why I want to do this job. And maybe through my life, it can actually even show you why I've probably chosen to do this role. And it did, because I think that's what made me realize, oh gosh, wow, this is probably why I have such a large caring life force. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing to do for yourself, first of all, and I guess it's lovely as well, because it gives the correct display of you and things like that. So I enjoyed it. I found it a bit of a journey. It's like a storybook.
Okay. Just to explain a little bit more as to why it has to be inclusive. It's just simply because the more open you are, the less questions you create when you now come to the panel. You see, so if you're not that open, somehow your Form F somehow shows that there's something that's missing here. But when you're open, you find that it doesn't create questions, and so by it's not creating questions, it means that when you now go to panel, there's a good chance the panel will be able to recommend you. You see. Yeah. So talking of panel, you know, do you feel you felt nervous when you went to the panel? How was it? How was the when on the actual day of the panel for you,
That was a nervous
Natasha?
wreck. Absolute nervous wreck. And my initial panel was with my mom anyway. So, you know, and we were shaking. You know, questions were being asked. We didn't even know how to put our lips to answer. You know, but yeah, honestly, you know, it's we got through it basically, and we're here.
Yeah, I think we know you got through it in the end.
We did indeed. Clear
Yeah.
evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
it
for
was
you, Feven,
nerve-wracking. Yes, it was nerve-wracking.
Mhm.
And it's because there was a number of people in the room. I'm sure more than 12 from what I remember. Very friendly faces though, friendly, you know, so I was just trying to fill the room and smile with everybody, you know, thinking, my God, you know, my entire life. But yeah, you know, it was an experience I've never had. I'll just put it that way. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely be nervous is part and parcel of being the panel. Yeah. And what about for you, Feven? How was your experience with the panel?
Oh, like I said, because I didn't know, am I going to pass? Am I, you know, because for me, it was so important and I wanted to pass because I wanted to do it for so long. It means a lot to me. So I was praying. I said, please, just let me pass today. And then when I went, everyone smiled. The minute you sit down, you belong there. I was nervous first, but since I sat down among everyone, I was more calm, relaxed, asking, you know, they were asking a lot of questions actually. And then it was very easy. Then I was very comfortable. And even we become a friend, we were laughing to each other, which is good.
Wow. Yeah. What I would just like to say about the panel, right? I know people are always nervous about the panel. The panel really, if the Form F, I mean, has gone through, you know, it's rigorous because the Form F before it goes to panel, it goes through a supervisor and then it goes through what we call a gatekeeper. So what if it's gone through that process? By the time it goes to panel, the panel won't sort of like reassess you or start assessing you on the day. You see, they're just wanting to confirm the information really that's on the Form F. So most of the time, it's quite straightforward, the panel. But I do understand, you know, the fact that, you know, you're gonna sit. There's a group of people in front of you, and you have no idea what they think. Yeah. So the nerves, yes, absolutely, you'd be nervous. You see. I just noticed somebody asked me a question. Says, is there anything that will stop me from becoming a foster carer? Okay, I mean, there are several things that can stop somebody. One of them is to do with the checks. You know, if the DBS, it depends on the type of criminal record, because if it's something like you know, you've got GBH, which is grievous bodily harm. Then we've got ABH. Normally, ABH stands for actual bodily harm. That one has got more. That one can stop somebody. There's also something else that can stop somebody. Let's say you're renting a property, all right, and your landlord does not give consent for you to use the house for fostering. That can stop somebody. You see, so you might be wanting to foster, but if your landlord is saying no, I don't want my house to be used for fostering, then that can stop your application. Another situation could be to do with medical reasons. There are most medical conditions don't really hinder, but there are certain medical conditions that will, especially if you've got, like, for example, a form of terminal illness where literally said you've got so many months to live. That sort of, or if it's that sort of illness, that will stop an application. But if, say, you've got, let me just say, cancer, you've got cancer, but this cancer has not yet gone in the advanced stage or something like that, that doesn't necessarily stop, you see. And then things like depression, if you actually take a medication for depression, normally with that one, we normally say you have to stop the medication for at least a year before you can apply. So in other words, depression doesn't quite stop you completely, but it does stop whilst you're taking the medication. It will stop. If you've got like mental health condition, you know, like for example, psychosis or something like that, it can stop, definitely, you see. If you've got, I think in terms of medical conditions, it's mainly those are the main ones that can stop. And then for the criminal record, for the DBS, right? If you don't declare, right? Let's say, I'll just give you a very silly example here. Let's say you saw a Mars bar from Morrison's, right? 2 years ago. You got a caution for it. And then now you are now applying today. Then you don't declare to us that you got a caution for stealing a Mars bar at Morrison's, right? You find that by you not declaring, it's the non-declaration to stop your application, you see. But if you are declared that I stole a Mars bar, you know, then that won't necessarily stop, you see. So non-declaration can stop. I think those are the main ones. Oh yes, there is another one to do with ex-partners, right? Because if you have an ex-partner, then even if you're in a current, you're trying to apply to foster in a current relationship today, then we will still, especially if you've had children with the ex-partner, we definitely would need to contact the ex-partner. We have had situations where some people would say, look, I don't want my ex-partner to be contacted for whatever reason. Sometimes the reason is to do along the lines, for example, of maybe abuse or something like that. And sometimes that one, you know, that normally is acceptable. But if it's one where you just don't want us to contact the ex-partner, then it can also mean that we might not be able to get on with the application, you see. We do know that ex-partners can end up saying things which are negative about their ex, you see. But we take it into context, you see, because there are other references we look at. We look at the references like your own children. We look at references, personal references. We look at employer references. We look at school references. So all those references, if they are saying positive things about you, and then it's just the ex-partner who say negative, then that's how we put it into context, you see. So a lot of people, when you say, oh, I'm gonna talk to the ex-partner, they immediately say, I don't know whether my ex-partner is gonna say something that's nice. See, we always put it into context, you see. So I hope that has answered the question. Okay, I think so far that was the only question I'm seeing. There's okay, if I have a previous caution or a mental health problem, does it stop me from fostering? I think I've sort of answered that one already. Yeah. If you don't declare your previous caution and then it comes up on your DBS, then it can stop. But sometimes your caution, if it happened so many years ago, then it might not. Yeah. Everything is always, we look at it on an individual basis. You see, we'll look at it in individual basis. Yeah. Right. I don't know whether Feven and Natasha, whether you've got something else you'd like to add in terms of your experiences of when you became a foster care, and also just tell us briefly about your time as a foster carer. So we'll start with Feven.
Yeah, thank you, Theo. For me, like I said, when I had a first visit from the member of the staff, and until now, my life changed because Isnayasha gave me that chance um, to be here and working at home with your children and the same time with your foster children, and not to go out, work in your own house. Obviously you learn so many things, not only with the foster children, with your own children as well. And the same time you have more wide eyes. Where before the world, I see it differently. Now since I came a foster carer, it makes me to be more open eyes and be aware with a lot of things, and even with my own children. And I would like to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be part of Banya's carer. It changed my life in a good way. I learned so many experience that I can experience, share it with other people. Because when Ayasha gave me that chance, when she came, said to me, look, yeah, we're going to take it further. You're going to go for your training. It means a lot to me. I was excited. And the same time, when I approve, when the children came to me, and it makes me more joy inside me in a way that this is the right job that I wanted to do. I won't change it with anything. How they came where they are now, it feels joy, and I'm more experienced. Even I have more confidence to do more and more. So to me, this is a good chance to be here and talking to you, Theo, and then I've been given a good chance to change my life and to learn more. Only fostering, it doesn't mean just foster children. There's other aspect that you learn more, meeting other professionals and learn more, having more experience in your own life. And working for Banya, it gave me a lot of experience and change in life. Yeah. And I'm sure there's so many children that they need a safe home, a good home, and to give a chance for them to come a good home and safe home somewhere. Somebody's looking, I don't know. I'm not trying to convince people, but where we are now, I think a lot of children needs a good home and safe home. And I'm sure we can do it together. And try it, because I'm here given that chance to change somebody's life. My foster children, how they came, when I look back, I'm so proud, and for them to be where they are now. And for me, it gives me full of joy inside me, and I won't change it to anyone.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Feven.
Yeah.
Yes, fostering definitely does, bring joy. You can tell that sometimes even the children themselves, when they testify themselves, you can tell that, they really appreciate what you've done for them, you think. And for you, Natasha, could you just tell us briefly again about your time as a foster care?
Okay, yeah, so as I've said, I started fostering with my mum, which meant I had to come and move back into the family. I wasn't living in so it was a big decision. I had left my job and my mum was working. One of us always available. although I know, because I saw a question come up about working and fostering. I'm sure you'll touch on that afterwards. Yeah. I think in some cases, which it is possible to work and foster. But I think the way how we'd, wanted to foster, it was better that one person was available. I think age range, the children, the age that we had, because we were going from 0 to 18. So if 0, of course, you need somebody around, someone at home. So yeah, and when we'd finished, I think it was on my birthday or around my birthday. So it was a great celebration. My mum went out. We really loved that. That's when the waiting began. And the waiting is waiting for your first referral. Which every time we heard the phone ring, hey, might be a referral. Yeah. And actually when it was a referral, it was a nervous wreck. Didn't know what to do again. It's another nervous time again, because you're like, wow, can we actually really do this? All that we said to do, I'm gonna do. Can we do this? So it was a chance to prove ourselves now, and our first placement, we had a child who'd unfortunately lost her brother, and this child was kind of went media, it went crazy, and it was a big thing for us, because we've never fostered before. But again, the support that we had from the social workers, everyone was checking in, making sure we were okay, for that first placement. It was a big deal for us, and we did it, and we were like, wow, I mean, that didn't last long, that placement didn't last long, but it was still an experience. And we just created a whole collection since then, of lovely children.
Yeah.
We've had lots of kids, that we've cared for collectively, and even my daughter now, she was 8 when I became a support carer for my mom, and she's now 19, and she's a support carer for me and my mom now. So, it's been lovely for us as a family to be able to do that and help children in the local community. It's been such a lovely thing, and we're really grateful to Banya for giving us our time to do this. So yeah.
Wow. So you've got generations of foster carers. That's wonderful to hear. Yeah. There is a question that has come through here, which says, so what is the process from saying you want to foster carer to go into panel? The process itself, like we mentioned earlier, that we first of all, it's divided into 2 parts, really, into what we call stage 1, stage 2. So stage 1 really is where we're gathering information about yourself. We're just gathering information, and once we've gathered this information, we'll then be able to determine whether we can actually start an assessment with you. So, and part of that gathering is those checks I was talking about earlier: the medical, the local authority check, and the police check, and the references. So if everything is coming back and is showing that things are fine, that's why we always say that when you put in a reference, make sure you put somebody who's going to say something nice about you. You see, so once we've gathered that information, then we decide, okay, I think we can now do the assessment. So the assessment now, we'll take a few more visits, and then we come up with what we call the Form F. And this Form F is that's what's presented to panel. You see, so like I said earlier on, that if you're open enough and you really tell, because it is intrusive, we'll ask you, quite personal questions, but it has to be that way, because we really do need to know everything about you, because you're going to be looking after a child that's not yours. You see, so we have to be sure. You see, so that's why it has to be intrusive. So once the Form F is presented to panel, the panel will make a recommendation, and then from there it is passed on to an agency decision maker, who then approves you as a foster care. Once you're approved, you then have your own social worker who's there to support you, literally with everything. If you feel that, okay, I would like this type of training, then that's the person you tell. If you say, okay, I wouldn't mind having a mother and baby, that's a specialist training. So that's a person, that supervisor social worker is the one who you'll be telling all that. It's always good to build a very good relationship with your supervisor social worker, because then that way you find that it's much easier. It's much easier because you'll be open with them, they're open with you. So really, that's the process. The whole process, can take up to 8 months. But at Banya, we try and do it in less time than that. Yeah. So I hope that has answered that question. There's another question here where it says, will foster carer pay for the child's daycare or school fees or tutor's fee? The answer to that is no. The school fees, because this child is coming from the local authority, so the school fees are covered by the local authority, you see. But things like pocket money and all that, that's what comes out from the allowance, but the school fees, no. And then there's another question, can I work and foster at the same time? Maybe I can ask you, Natasha, to answer that.
Yeah, my aunt is a foster carer for Banyas, and she works, but she's approved to have older children, so children who would be of school age, who can independently go to school. So she works, she's a teacher, and she's also a foster carer. Yeah, and it's possible. I think it depends on your, if it can work for your family, can it work?
It is more difficult when you're a single carer, because when you're a single carer, we always say you need to have more backups. You see, it is much more difficult to do it when you're single. But when you're a couple, it is very possible to have one of you working full time, and then and then the other one not working. Or if you do it like what Natasha and their mom did, where both of them decided not to work, it means that you're open to more of referrals, you see. Another question here. The 8 months starts from the date when you fill the form. The 8 months start from the date we accept what we call the application form. Yeah, once we've accepted that, that's normally when the 8 months will kick in. It is relatively at the beginning. Yeah. I think those are the only questions that I've seen. Okay, so I would like to thank
Theo, before you finish, can you please elaborate on the issue of space?
On the issue of space, okay, that I can do. Right. Around this, the space issue, I mean, before it was very clear that if say you've got a 3-bedroom house, right, and you've got one child, and it meant that you had one spare room, right, and if you had 2 children and you had a 3-bedroom house, it meant you had no space because your 2 children will occupy the 2 bedrooms and yourself will occupy the 3rd bedroom. Now there's some slight differences, which is that if your children are still young enough to share, then that means that even if you've got a 3-bedroom house and you've got 2 children and they're young, then they can share, and then once they share, that means you've got a spare room, you see. But if your 2 children are if they're of the same gender, right, that means they can share for a longer period. But if they're not of the same gender, usually sort of the maximum age for sharing is 18, you see. Oh, and in Banya, we always say, okay, we need to at least be able to to work with this person minimum 5 years. So I'll give you just an example like this. If you've got a 9 and 11-year-old and they're of the same gender, that's okay, because it can go beyond 13. So which means the 5 years that Banya normally want, we can get that, right? But if you've got a 9 and 11-year-old and they're not of the same gender, then that situation, you don't have space, because the 11-year-old will be 13 in just 2 years, which is less than the 5 years that Banya wants as a minimum. So that's the latest around space. If you have a 2-bedroom house and you have a baby, in this case, when we say baby, we're not talking of a 1-year-old, 2-year-old. I'm talking really of a baby that's still sort of like 4-6 months, sort of that sort of a range. Then that's also possible for you to apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for clarifying that, and thank you very much, Feven and Natasha and Theo. If there are no other questions, we will just take another short break, and we're coming back at 4:45 with our next topic. Yes, Theo.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to say to anyone who's listening, was your point as to why we spoke to Feven and Natasha, was so that you get to realize that things like being nervous or am I good enough, asking yourself such questions is all common, but we just want to give you that reassurance that you will have somebody who will be there to support you, and it's just a matter of you picking up the phone and saying, look, I'm thinking of doing this, and then from there we can work with you.